Hey, true believers, Zanglantine here with this week's countdown. Now, how happy can you possibly make me by not only having Mr. Miracle top the week's sales chart, but then 2 weeks later, Hawkman tops the sales. Marvel is getting their asses kicked by DC third-tier heroes. Think about that for a second. That is the quality of book that is being produced right now from DC. Let's see the top 10. Number 10 was Thanos number 14. Wonder Woman battled Darkseid and gained the number 9 spot. The Flash number 37 took over the 8 spot. Lucky number 7 belongs to Teen Titans number 15, Chapter 3 of Super Sons of Tomorrow. Number 6 belongs to Action Comics 994. The 5 spot went to Detective Comics 971. Marvel Comics finally lets its presence known by taking the 4 spot with Amazing Spider-Man 793. And they continue their run with Phoenix Resurrection number 1 at number 3. And here's that third-tier hero I was talking about. Hawkman Found is in the runner-up spot, number 2. And finally, the number 1 selling comic book to comic book customers is Doomsday Clock, number 2. And a little shout out to the comic book stores that took part in this. This is Bleeding Cool's list. Now, take it with a grain of salt if you like, but these are what the comic books shops are saying are being sold to the comic book reader. And also, they have something to say about it, so let's check that out as well. Doomsday Clock dominated again with both covers outselling individually even everything else. Though Hawkman Found would have ranked higher had we ordered more, wish we had seen the metal cover design beforehand, would have ordered more. Doomsday Clock blew the competition away, especially that beautiful Lex Luthor cover. Phoenix Resurrection and Amazing Spider-Man topped the sales for Marvel this week. Now, while DC won the week for the top 3 slots, Marvel managed to tie them with 5 books placing on the list. There's measurable excitement growing for Donny Cates' work on Thanos, and Moon Knight managed to sneak in as well. That said, Doomsday Clock sold more than 2nd through 5th place combined, the dominant force and payer of our bills this week. Big week for books, okay week for sales, even big to split. On the bottom half of the list, Teen Titans falls slightly to below Action. Iron Man and X-Men Blue with a surprise of Deadpool making the list at number 10. Never thought I'd see a Hawkman book as the 2nd best seller of the week, yet here we are. As with nearly all metal tie-ins, our store did not order enough and sold out on Wednesday. Phoenix did well enough to make it to number 5 on the list, but with numbers far lower than the rest of the upper 5. Spider-Man is doing well again at number 3 for the week, but nothing could touch a sequel to some 80s book. Just for a little heads up, get used to seeing the Doomsday Clock covers, because this is being used in a lot of statements on a lot of lists. Marvel had 6 spots on my top 10 this week. Amazing. Hawkman Found came in at number 3. Hawkman has never charted so high in my store ever. Doomsday Clock was number 1 by a mile, of course. I'm looking forward to next week when all of our regulars are back in town, and Happy New Year. Doomsday Clock takes the top spot at FFF, outselling every other book on the shelf by at least 20 copies. Hawkman Found was our 2nd bestseller, followed by the Detective Comics. Phoenix Resurrection was the first Marvel book in our top 10 with a pretty solid first week. Hopefully people stay interested in a weekly $4 book, enough to keep the sales strong. Amazing Spider-Man actually managed to sneak into the top 10 spot to keep Phoenix company, and Metal number 4 made it to number 8 in its 2nd week. For our top 20, Doomsday Clock continues to sell well, outselling most new books from the week. Thanos fell just outside the top 10, selling 1 less copy than Amazing Spider-Man. Batman Creatures of the Night definitely fell off a bit, which is a shame for such a good mini. But with all the other Bat-centric books coming out right now, it definitely suffers from a lack of publicity. And while I'm not the biggest fan of Creatures of the Night, I still think it's a good story. It's definitely a different take on the Batman mythos, and definitely worth a look. Redneck and Outcast were the only indie books to make it into the top 20. Both come from big names with solid fan bases, so it's no surprise to see them sell It is a little shocking to see that Redneck actually hasn't sold more this week, but we definitely don't push it as hard as we do Baby Teeth. Redneck and Outcast sounds like a buddy cop movie coming soon to a theater near you. DC secured the number 1 and 2 spots in the final week of the year with 1-2 punch of a smash hit event comic Doomsday Clock and a metal tie-in Hawkman found number 1. Marvel didn't slack off though. Their lenticular covered Phoenix Resurrection number 1 came in at a strong 3rd place. Okay, this is for the middle agers. 1990, somebody walks up to you and says, you know, one day Hawkman's gonna outsell an X-Man book. Or an X-Men book, as it were. What do you think? You call him crazy? Or just laugh? Oh, it's so good. So good. DC Staples Action Comics and Detective Comics round off the top half of the list, while everyone's favorite neighborhood Arachnid is crawling all over the bottom half. Amazing Spider-Man 793, Spider-Man 2 number 5, and Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows number 14 all made our top 10 lists. I was just having a conversation in the comment section of a video about how if Marvel just starts writing good stories again, people will come back. Doesn't explain Spider-Man 2 number 5, but it's in the right direction. Doomsday Clock dominated once again this week, selling nearly double the next best-selling comic, Phoenix Resurrection. That's not to say that Return of Jean Grey number 1 wasn't a good draw, it just wasn't enough to take on Doomsday Clock. However, it's worth noting that if this list weren't made up of just issues, Saga Volume 8 would have been our runner-up this week. And this is just telling of how people are changing their buying habits. I did a demographic video not too long ago talking about who is buying what. And people are really going to the trades before the floppies nowadays, or instead of the floppies, I should say. So to even hear that not only a trade paperback, but an independent trade paperback would have beat out all the other floppies, that is an amazing thing. DC sweeps all 10 spots in our store this week, with Marvel missing by 2 copies as Amazing Spider-Man 793 barely lost out to Justice League of America for 10th place. The drop-off on Star Wars titles is almost startling, and a major Star Wars film is in theaters right now, and our numbers on most Star Wars books have fallen by about 15%. Well, that's sad to hear that the Star Wars titles are going down. Some of them are actually pretty good. I like Poe Dameron. Jack's loving Darth Vader. You know, there's some good things out there, so I don't know. You know, that's the whole thing. I've said this before. I don't want Marvel to crash. I want it to become stronger, but I'm a DC fan, so I still like them on top. That's why I kind of get a kick out of Hawkman outselling everything this week. And I understand that if it wasn't for being a Death Knight tie-in, Hawkman would not be beating anybody any week. All right, well, we all know what happens next. Marvel said, but our big sales are in digital, so we go on over to Comixology and check it out. But so far, Marvel has not been able to back up their statement, as the most they've ever had in a top 20 was 8. So let's see how they do this week. Starting off with the top 10. Number 10, Amazing Spider-Man 793. Number 9, Wonder Woman number 37. The Flash takes the 8th spot. Once again, Injustice 2 takes the number 7 slot, chapter 38. Number 6 belongs to Phoenix the Resurrection number 1. Teen Titans number 15, the 3rd chapter of the Super Sons of Tomorrow, takes the 5 spot. Number 4 is Action Comics 994. Detective Comics 971 takes the 3 spot. Once again, the runner-up in the number 2 spot is Hawkman Found number 1, which of course makes the number 1 Doomsday Clock number 2. And yes, I included that beautiful Lex Luthor cover, as they said earlier. But there you go. I mean, the top 10 digital comics doesn't really change that much from the floppies. Now, it sets Marvel at 2 and DC at 8 because there are no independents to take up any slots. So in order for even Marvel to tie, they have to get 8 of the next 10 places. Marvel picks up a 3rd with Spider-Men 2 number 5 at the 11th spot. But Hal Jordan and Green Lantern Corps number 35 steps into the 12th slot, bringing DC totals to 9. At number 13, Invincible Iron Man 595 brings the score 9-4, DC's favor. Number 14 is X-Men Blue number 18. Now it's 9-5, DC and Dolly Parton's favor. At number 15, Jessica Jones number 15 changes the score 9-6 in DC's favor. Then Black Panther at number 16 changes the score 9-7. They are really climbing up. They might get it. Star Wars The Last Jedi, The Storms of the Crate changed the score 9-8. It's at number 17. Now, this is literally the highest amount of comic books in the top 20 digital sales Marvel has ever had since I started doing these countdowns. At the 18th spot, we have Nightwing, The New Order number 5. That's 10 for DC, 8 for Marvel. And at number 19, Justice League of America number 21 closes out any hope of a tie. It's now 11-8 in DC's favor. But here's some good news at least. Now at number 20 is Thanos number 14, Thanos to some people. And that means that Marvel has 9, which is a record for them. They literally have only had 8 in any countdown I've ever done. So this is a big deal. People are starting to recognize that Marvel is doing good books again, and they are getting rid of the bad ones. Let's hope they just don't pile on more bad ones to take their place. And there you go, gang. The top 10, the top 20 digital. What do you think? What do you think that's been said about it? Is there something you're like, dang it, I wish that would make the top 10? Let me know in the comments below. Are you surprised at what people are buying? I'm very happy to see a stronger Marvel. And yeah, they only own the back 20. But I think that's consumer confidence going on right there. We don't trust Marvel to do good, so we're not going out and buying them in droves. And why should we? DC is fulfilling our needs quite promisingly. And there's no show of stopping that they're going to continue with good stories without the politics thrown in. So why should we not be buying them over and over and over again? They're doing what we want. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think. Also, if you like this video, you want to see more, click like, click share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Cool things happen around these parts. Also, this is the way we make our living. So if you don't mind helping us out, go on over to Patreon. The links are in the description below. Drop $1 in the till. Help us keep the lights on. Help us keep making videos like this. We certainly thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.
Now the curtain is going up. The entertainer is taking a bow. He does his dance set and sings his song. Even gets the audience to sing along.